My name is Jen Danford. I am a zookeeper at the Greensboro Science Center. I'm a relief keeper, so that means I go in between most areas taking care of the animals.
Hi, my name is Kelly Rauch, and I'm also a zookeeper at the Greensboro Science Center, and I am the lead keeper over red pandas, Maine wolves, and I'm second for tigers.
Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a passion for animal conservation. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, anyone who can help me in my mission of connecting my people to animals through their people. Join me on my Rossifari. Hello, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Rossifari podcast. Now, y'all, you just heard who we're going to have on the podcast this week, but we're not actually here to talk about Greensboro Science Center as much as one might expect, you know, when hearing that we're talking to keepers from, well, Greensboro Science Center. And the reason I say that is we are here to discuss the fact that Kelly and Jen from Greensboro Science Center went on a very special trip to Nepal recently as part of the Red Panda Network Eco Trip. And so today's interview focuses largely on that. We do talk about how Kelly was able to get some funding through Greensboro and the amazing stuff that they're doing there, and how Jen was able to use some AZAC money to do it, which is pretty cool. And of course, at the end, when we're done talking about all the things that pertain to the trip, we do catch up with Miso and the rest of the red pandas at the Greensboro Science Center. So don't you worry, you will get to hear a little bit about everybody's favorite pandas. But right now the focus is on what a trip to Nepal that was not only these two zookeepers, but in fact a whole bunch of zookeepers from all around the world. I'm so excited to share this one with y'all, and I have to tell you, this is one of those episodes where during the interview, I was like, wait, what? How are we 40 minutes into this? And then again, when editing, I was like, I'm missing something, right? This is a really short interview, but it's not. It's just, you know, three really passionate panda people sitting around and talking, and the stories are incredible, and Jen and Kelly do such a great job. You'll really feel like you're there with them, pooping in the woods and everything. So I am excited for you to hear all of that, but before we get to it, really quick, just a friendly reminder to make sure you hit subscribe, make sure that you are following along on socials at Rossifari, following the TikTok, Rossifari Pod. And, I need to give a shout out to my friends at the Red Panda Network. RPN does such amazing conservation work in Nepal. It's incredible, and it's community-based conservation, and they really think about how to approach the people there and to figure out not just how to save the pandas from, poaching and stuff, but how to help the community there love and respect and coexist with and actually want to save red pandas. They are an amazing organization that I am proud to have been a part of as a volunteer for a couple of years now, and also just supported. I donate monthly. I occasionally donate on top of that. We've done fundraisers for them on the podcast. It's always an amazing feeling. Anytime I see or hear about or participate in anything to do with Red Panda Network. So you can check them out, redpandanetwork.org, at Red Panda Network, all the things, but they are an amazing, amazing organization. And actually, while we're on the love train here, I also need to give a shout out to my friends at Greensboro Science Center. Y'all know we have amazing relationships, which has led to a lot of cool episodes of the podcast and amazing experiences for me. But I thought it was interesting in a really cool way that when I spoke to Becca and the team at Greensboro about doing this interview, even though it wasn't really for the Science Center per se, they were all about it. And yes, and you know, even though it meant that their keepers were going to, you know, lose an hour of work and probably more because I would bug them about seeing their red pandas and such. And also, you know, even though they wouldn't benefit nearly as much as Red Panda Network would, there's no hesitation that we're just like, yes, come do this. We support you. We love you. Yay. So that really meant a lot to me. An amazing facility. If y'all haven't made it to Greensboro yet, if y'all haven't seen Miso in person yet, you're missing out. So I highly recommend the visit. I've actually had fans from all around the country that listen end up making trips and going and telling people at Greensboro, like, hey, I learned about you guys on Rossifari and now I'm here. And that's just really cool. So I love this relationship so much. But I'm going to stop blathering and turn it over to, well, actually still me blathering, but in an interview with other more interesting people. So here are Kelly and Jen from the Greensboro Science Center to tell you all about their Red Panda Eco Trip.
Yeah, and you've been on so many times,
Yay, I'm
and
happy
you're
to be
new.
back.
I'm excited about all the
Yay,
things.
I'm happy.
So, we're here not really to talk about Greensboro, although I know we are legally obligated to talk about some certain pandas that live here.
For sure.
But actually, the reason that I'm interviewing the two of you is that there's something special that y'all did recently and that I wanted to do too.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell me why we're here, why we're talking.
So today we're really excited to talk about our eco trip with the Red Panda Network that we went on in December 2023. We were really blessed to go and we had just the best time with them in Nepal.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Why? Why did y'all decide to do this? And I mean, I would feel like that's a pretty obvious answer because you're going to Nepal to see red pandas. But beyond that, what was it that really like drove you to make this be a thing?
Well, Jen has always tried to get me into doing adventure travel. I'm a luxury travel kind of lady. That's my kind of travel. Like Disney is great. But Jen has gone on these amazing adventures all around the world and has really inspired me. And at the Science Center, we have an internal conservation and research grant that you can apply for. And it always caught my interest. So I was kind of thinking like, what do I really like? And of course, it's red pandas. So I actually applied this past year and was granted the opportunity to go through the Science Center. And I was like, Jen, what do you think about this? And she was like, let's do it. So we went.
Yeah, like Kelly said, I've been trying for a long time to get her to come on an adventure travel with me to see wildlife. But I tend to go to really hot places.
Yeah,
like jungles. And Kelly was always not going to go for that. So when Nepal kind of presented itself and we knew about Red Panda Network taking these trips, she kind of initiated it and asked if I wanted to go. And I was like, yes, let's do it.
Yep. Awesome. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's really awesome. I love that, you know, Jen, you're the adventurer, and yet this was Kelly's initiative. That's really cool. What was the process like to get approval to get the funds from Greensboro?
Gotcha. So we have an application that they send out to anyone who's worked here for a year. And so they apply to our research committee. And it's not a very long application, but it kind of shows like, does this go to conservation? Does this go to research? What are you gaining from this experience? What is the Science Center gaining from this experience? Then once you're approved for that, you do a presentation in front of the research committee, kind of what your idea is. So we've had people from all different departments do stuff like make signage for a conservation organization in Africa, design a book, go to South Africa to work at Sandcob. So a really wide variety of stuff that people have applied for. So after that, and everyone presented, they kind of look through it as a committee, and then a few different people get granted this conservation grant, pretty much, or research grant that kind of ties into what our organization is doing.
Cool. And what was like, how did you pitch it? Because I think a lot of people listening have seen this online and know that Red Panda Network does this, but the way that they pitch it, and rightly so, is come to Nepal, see red pandas.
Yeah.
And that's not really a conservation, although I know it is in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you guys explain that?
So it took some research. Like I definitely went back and forth with the Red Panda Network people here in America asking like, hey, with the Eco Zoo trip, can you kind of tell me what are some of the key points that actually tie into conservation? Because all of the money going, whether you go on a eco trip tour that's just the regular eco trip, zoo, or photography tour, it all goes to conservation. And we saw so much cool stuff. So just that is a key point in itself. But in talking with them, the zoo trips are longer because you're doing more conservation work. So we assisted them planting trees, and we got to see so much more than the normal eco trips do. And so that was my whole thing. And then obviously the Science Center is getting more known for red pandas. So social media and doing something like this, like the podcast, was another way that we can kind of talk about the Greensboro Science Center supporting Red Panda Network.
Very cool. And so y'all got the grant, and I'm curious. Yeah.
I was going to say, I did not apply for the grant.
Okay.
I did not get the grant, but we have our AZAC chapter here, and we get point money for how much we participate within the AZAC chapter. And I decided to kind of cash out all of my AZAC money and use that towards the trip. So I did not have to go through the process that Kelly had to go through. I just was like, I'm here for the ride. Let's do it. But I did get some, my trip was not fully paid for by the AZAC money, but I did get help from that as well.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome. I think it's neat, some of the avenues of funding that are out there for conservation work.
Exactly.
I think that's really cool. So yeah, I love that you guys have two different stories to go on this trip together. And so what was the prep like? How much does Red Panda Network prepare you for this? How hard is it to figure out what to pack? All of that stuff.
Red Panda Network has a really great packing list, and Jen actually reached out through Zookeepers Who Travel, the Facebook group, and kind of got advice from people who've gone on the trip before and talked to a few different women and got advice on what to pack extra. And I think we actually did a great job. We talked about it on the trip. Like, what would you bring? What would you tell people to bring? And I think it was good advice that we got.
Yeah. Like Kelly said, there's online, Red Panda Network has a really good packing list and answers a lot of the questions that you would have. But Kelly and I just talked about it and kind of went through our list, and she's right. Like on the trip, I felt really good with my gear and what we had packed.
Nice. That's good. Was there anything like on the list, or just that you ended up taking, or that you were told to not take, or anything that like surprised you a little bit? Like, you're like, oh, I would have never thought of that.
All right, we'll be back after this quick break.
Hi, this is Kathy Hill from the Indian River Lagoon National Estuary Program. We're all about restoration projects in progress this season on One Lagoon, One Voice. Learn about the great strides the lagoon community is taking to restore and protect the Indian River Lagoon. Each week, we dive deep into discussions with scientists, resource managers, and nonprofit leaders to explore lagoon issues and solutions. From oyster reefs to clam restoration, algae blooms to muck, you'll learn all about the projects we're tackling to bring the Indian River Lagoon back to health. Click the link in the show notes to follow One Lagoon, One Voice, learn about the IRL Council, and explore our unique lagoon.
I will say Kelly packed 2 small hand towels. I did not pack one.
Oh, here we go.
And she was not great at sharing them.
They're my hand towels that I need.
And sometimes she would use the bath towel that was provided when there was one. Even though she had her 2.
Had my own hand towels.
I will say one thing we did not have that I was disappointed in was during one of the homestays, there was a little girl. And I wish we didn't have a ton of extra room, but I wish I had thought of there being a kid or a child along, because if I would have had something to give her, that would have made me feel a lot better. I just felt like we talked about, we didn't have anything to give her. And I wish we had brought something along, a book or toy or something to give her.
Yeah. One of our, people that went with us from the Australia Zoo, Jay, Hi, Jay, that listens to this podcast. He actually had a red panda headscarf.
Yeah, it was almost like it almost looked like an eye mask, like a red panda eye mask, or like a headband that he had. And
he got in Hong Kong.
He gave it to her, and she wore it the rest of the time on her head. So that was cool that we had Jay there to give her something.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
She was adorable.
Yeah.
Did you know that that's a thing in the Panda world where a lot of people that are really into red pandas and travel to zoos to see them and stuff, they bring they just buy oh, I'm at a zoo and I want to support this zoo. So I'm going to buy 10 stuffed red pandas. And then I'll share them with other pandas when we go to zoos together. Or if I see a kid who's really interested in an exhibit, I will give that kid a stuffed red panda to encourage their interest in it. I was surprised by it. I was also, I found it shocking. So one of my friends who does this a lot is a guy who goes to zoos alone and will go up to a little girl and be here's a stuffed red panda. And I asked him, I was do you ever get I just as a parent, I would be a little skeeved out, you know? And he's no, there's never been pushback. Everyone can tell it's coming from a real place. It also helps that we're all wearing our Red Panda Network stuff and our, when you were talking about a Red Panda face mask, I'm I think I have 2 of those. And you were or a headband. And I was I definitely have one of those. So there's some of that to it, I think. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing. And it's a type of thing that I know there's no study out there on what effect that's having on conservation, but talk about helping kids connect with animals and building I think it's really kind of a cool thing.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's very cool. And it sounds Red Panda Network obviously knows what they're doing with this. And that's really cool, especially for someone who was maybe a little bit of a pretty princess and not quite ready to rough it as much. And weirdly, I'm not looking at you, Jen.
Hey.
So, I'm curious, I guess, we'll get into the nitty gritty of what the trip was, but I'm curious what this, how did this compare for you, Jen, to other trips that you've done, given that you've done other trips?
This is the first trip that I did without my husband, an adventure trip without my husband. So you
start off and said, I loved, and then you were this is the first trip I've done. This was the best trip ever. No,
I should go back a little bit. My husband he's not a zookeeper, but he's a very good traveler. He's always supported my adventure travels.
He's a birder.
And he is into wildlife, and it's great. But this is the first trip I've did without him, with Kelly, and for me, meeting the other people and doing it kind of by myself with the group was just so fun, and meeting the group and experiencing it all with them. I wish my husband was there actually for it.
Good recovery.
But they might have liked him more than me. So maybe not. Maybe he should have stayed home.
That's cool. Yeah. Very cool. And so let's start to get into the trip. So you're packed, you're ready to go. What is the flight situation and getting to Nepal? Ooh, those are some faces.
Yeah, well, we can get into it if you really want to hear it.
Yes.
I do, yeah.
So actually, when I submitted my receipt for our flights, our finance department was those are great prices because, flying into Kathmandu, it's one of, from what I've heard, I don't know if this is extremely true, one of the most expensive cities to refuel in. So flights there are rare. So
I've heard of the taxes too.
Yeah, okay, taxes maybe. So getting a flight is difficult, working out where you're going, what airlines you're taking, because not many airlines fly in to Kathmandu. So we got great flights. We were excited to go. Jen, do you want to get into it? Because I'm having my eyes twitching.
Basically, when we arrived our flight was supposed to go from Raleigh to JFK, JFK to Doha, Doha to Kathmandu. And so we know this is a long flight and we're kind of prepared for that. But when we arrived at the Raleigh airport, the line to check in for our flight was so long that we ended up missing our flight in line.
And everyone else behind us did too.
And everybody in line was in the same boat. So it wasn't we were not prepared or something like that. It was just the airport staff could not handle the amount of people there
Oh my God. As a quick side note to anybody listening, I signed up for TSA Pre because I fly a lot, and it has saved my butt in multiple situations. If you are going to fly once or twice in 5 years even, it's like $40 and it can save your butt in that situation. So just put that into the world.
The problem was we weren't even checked in. So we couldn't.
Oh my gosh.
We couldn't check in before. So we were just in the check-in line because it wasn't security. It was getting.
Okay, I was just assuming.
Like getting through. I've never seen something like that. You know, you're trying to be patient. We could tell that they were understaffed. But as it got closer and closer to our flight time, obviously the panic started setting in. And thankfully, we were traveling together and had each other to kind of support through that. But basically, because of that long line, we had to be rebooked and had to take a different airline to get there, which we did not realize at the time caused major problems for our way back.
Yeah.
Oh no! How so?
So basically, we were supposed to fly Qatar into Kathmandu through American Airlines, and on our way back, we were going to fly Qatar, obviously, too. They rebooked us through Air India, and by doing that, they were telling Qatar Airlines pretty much that we never showed up and did not communicate that.
Like on Qatar's end, when we went to check in Kathmandu to fly home
at 2 a.m.
in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. Their system was just saying, you're still in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so it seemed, again, we kind we were like trying to stay calm and explain the situation and saying, I know that's what your system says, but you can see us with your eyes. And we did make it here 2 weeks ago. And, can you just override the system, which seemed like fairly easy. And it was not easy for them. They could not do it that night. So we ended up staying at the airport for 2 hours trying to get it figured out. They could not get us on that flight, even though they could see our seats. We weren't assigned to them anymore. And it was just very frustrating. And we watched the whole airport shut down because it was the last flight of the night. So it was Kelly and I not having seats on this flight. The flight took off without us. And we didn't have a solution. It wasn't like we had seats on the next flight. It was the airport's closing, go back to your hotel. Yeah. And we didn't have money anymore because we had used it or donated it to Red Panda Network. Since it was the middle of the night, we tried calling our friends and the hotel, but everybody was sleeping. Thankfully, Emily answered and
thank you, Emily.
Made sure to open the hotel gate for us.
Oh my gosh.
It was very nerve-wracking.
Wow.
But the next day, obviously our husbands went to the airline in Greensboro and got it all worked out, which was amazing. Because you can't call American Airlines through Nepal. But Red Panda Network, all the people that were still there took such good care of us. They had us going to the Qatar airline, desk in the middle of the city. They definitely helped us. They gave us the hotel room for the rest of the day so we could nap before our flight. They were great. Yeah. So it worked out.
It was really nice having them there. All the people that we had met still there was what saved our sanity because we were really nervous and really
very stressful,
panicked. Kelly was going to leave me in Kathmandu for sure.
I was like, I'm paying, I'm leaving.
I was like, we'll figure this out. Kelly's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. So exciting stuff.
All right. Well, travel's hard. As somebody who travels all around the country and stuff, the stories I could tell. And at some point it just becomes a thing where I remember I was talking to a friend recently and they were like, man, you fly so much and you drive to all these different places and I don't know how you do it. And I was like, it's fine. There's not that much bad stuff. And then I started thinking of everything and I was like, oh no, wait, I just block it. It's like that thing they say, women block the pain of giving birth or else you would never have a second child, anyone ever. That's what travel is to me. So I'm hearing this and I'm like, you poor people, how did you get? Then I'm like, wait, I've been stuck in airports. I've been stuck in airports, man. Yeah, you always figure it out. It's fine.
That was in the back of our head. It was like, we will figure this out. We'll figure this out.
You'll get home eventually. Or start a new life.
We run away.
There are options. I bet Red Panda Network would hire both of you. I'm just saying. So, they get this thing. New Forest Guardians, Kelly and Jen. And I'm like,
you already have the jacket.
I know, I'm ready.
Dude, okay, so actually, the jacket.
Yes.
I am obsessed with those jackets. I have offered Terrence from Red Panda Network so much money for one of those jackets. And he goes, if you ever come on an eco trip, we'll make sure you get one.
Yes.
And I'm like, T-Dog, hook me up. We're friends. I promote your...
Yes. I harassed the staff into giving
Kelly, I think they were a little annoyed with Kelly. She asked several times.
I was like, how
where can we get those jackets? Where can we get... At first, they were like, I mean, they're for the Guardians. And then by the end, they're like, just take one.
The Forest Guardian jackets, though, are next level. Like, that is my number one goal.
Amazing.
So, yeah, maybe I'll run away for the jacket.
Yeah, there you go. But I mean, when I saw you today, I walked in here and you were wearing that. I got like a true flash of like jealousy because I am obsessed with those jackets.
They're amazing.
They're
and
incredible.
they're waterproof. So
yeah. I'm here in my Red Panda Network hoodie, and it's just not good enough anymore. But okay, so insane flight, but you get there and you land in Kathmandu.
Mm-hmm.
Go. Is that where you meet the group?
And we thankfully weren't that delayed. We were delayed like about 4 hours.
Yeah, it was not bad.
So we got there just, at night, like 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
We got to our hotel, which was amazing. We could see like the huge stupa, like 2 blocks away. We could see the Buddhist monks brushing their teeth on the roof right across from our hotel. It was so cool. Like you really felt like I'm in a totally different part of the world. This is amazing.
Yeah,
that is really
our room
cool.
was like on the 4th floor, 4th or 5th floor. So it was up high enough where you could go out on our little patio and kind of look out at Kathmandu and the surrounding areas and have a pretty good view.
Yeah, it was. And Kathmandu, I told Jen, it's the best city I've ever been to.
Wow.
The culture, it's busy, it's vibrant, it's chaotic, but it is amazing. There's culture everywhere, and it's one of the only cities that no matter what the governing body was, the religions always lived harmoniously, and you had the freedom of religion, and you can just see that everywhere. And it's so inspiring.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, when you started a sentence with you could see the Buddhist monks, the next thing that you were going to say, I could have picked a million lines before I would have said brushing their teeth. That was amazing.
It was great.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it was the best.
But that's actually a really great, like, as funny as that is to me, it really shows like you were really there and like in that world,
it
like 100%.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It seemed very authentic.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was very like we were just right there.
I could have stayed in Kathmandu for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
It was amazing. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so is that where you meet up with everybody and then you all go together? Is that how that works?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We were all staying at the same hotel. So we didn't meet them that first night that we got in there. But the next morning we woke up and had breakfast and then met our group around like 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was there except for one guy Mike was traveling back and met up with us the following day. But we went out that day with our guide Ramesh and just kind of explored the city.
Cool.
Kathmandu.
Mm-hmm. Mike, actually, that Jen just mentioned, one of the things that we kind of didn't look into are maybe the pre-trips we should have taken. Like he was coming from Chitwan, which he saw tigers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rhinos.
Rhino. So if you are thinking on going on that trip, maybe doing some other parts of Nepal before you get there. So we were very jealous.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back after this quick break.
What if I told you scientists discovered 100 new species in the deep ocean?
Why did crocodiles survive extinction?
Megalodon. How did it go extinct?
Hey, it's me, Forrest Galante, wildlife biologist. You might know me from Joe Rogan's podcast or my various TV shows like Extinct or Alive and Shark Week. Join me and my friends as we dive into the wild world of animal anomalies and everything wildlife. Don't miss out. Click here to uncover these mind-blowing animal mysteries.
Very cool. What's it like meeting this group of people that you don't know from all around the world now, all around the world. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're mostly zookeepers, if not all zookeepers, right? For this trip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, you're meeting and you're about to go like have a very different experience together. So what's that like as a bonding experience?
I think Jen and I, when we were walking down the stairs, we were nervous.
Like, it was a little nerve-wracking.
Meeting your class. Where are you going to sit? Like
the first day of school or something.
But we were really excited because at least we all had something in common. Like you love animals, you love red pandas. I'm so excited to network with these people. So we were nervous, but also very excited because we have something easy in common with these people. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And it was that, if you ask me the highlight of the trip, it's the people that we went with. We love them.
Yeah, I would agree. We got along so well and it was just such a good group of people.
Yeah. We all supported each other and we're all in contact every single day still. So
Wow.
it's really fun. We're
That's
all
very
planning
cool.
trips to each other's zoos
Yeah.
across the world.
Now,
Yeah.
I need to ask you, Kelly, but I was very excited that you're going to be meeting a keeper that I've gotten to know pretty well from Lincoln Children's Zoo.
Yes.
So I'm genuinely curious, and be honest, if the answer is no, that's fine. But I know I like mentioned y'all to each other and
Yes.
stuff. And so when you guys met, were you able to did that help with that connection at all?
It definitely did.
Cool. I'm
'Cause I
glad
was
to hear
like,
that.
John's told me about your tree kangaroos. And then I find out all this information about tree kangaroos, and Davy Ann is just a wealth of information. I've actually contacted her multiple times. Sorry, Davy Ann, for harassing you always. She's given me so much advice about pandas, and it's amazing to network with people, and I appreciate you kind of reaching out before that.
Of
and
course.
getting the introductions over with. So
I am hoping there's a gig that I've been offered that I am thinking of taking out in California. I would drive out if I did it. And a big reason why is because I would able to stop and see Davy Ann. And I have not seen her in like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I love her.
She's
And
amazing.
I'm literally like thinking of taking this like 2-month gig and driving across the country mainly to hang with her for a day.
Yeah.
Like there are other reasons, but like, yeah, no. And I'm glad.
Jen and I both want to go to the AZAC conference this year because we want to take a pre-trip to see Davy Ann.
It's the conference is in Omaha, but right down
They're
the road.
right there.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Might as well
it's
go
amazing.
see her.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome. And I'm glad that was able
Yeah.
to help. So y'all become best panda buds.
Yes.
And you hand out your little I love red panda friendship bracelets and everything. And so how long are you in Kathmandu?
So we were actually only there less than
It was like 2 nights kind of because the night we arrived and then the next night.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
jet
then-
lagged.
Yep.
But we got there. And then that morning we took a flight, 45-minute flight past Mount Everest, past 4 of the 5 tallest peaks in the world.
Wow.
So like all of us are plastered up to the window.
Side note, they bought the plane tickets that day. Right before us to fly on this flight.
So casual.
Which was just so casual. And we were like, what if our group was fairly big. And the plane was not that big. So just a little side note, I thought that was really relaxed.
And I love it.
and we all got seats on it. So
And they all
it
made
worked.
sure that we had window seats to the side that Mount Everest would be on.
That's adorable.
So
I
that
love
was really
that.
cool. So we fly into the Bradford Airport, which is a tiny little airport, and it's hot. I was like,
That's
oh my
when Kelly was
God.
like, you told me this trip would be cold.
I am not happy right now. But
And by hot, it's like 78.
it's humid. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Fahrenheit.
Too hot for me. But we get in these like,
You live in Greensboro,
I
North
know.
Carolina.
And I work
That's what I
outside.
told her. It's much hotter in Greensboro. Not now,
Yeah.
but it's much
I am not going to choose to go on vacation out in the
Okay.
heat.
Fair.
very short-lived though, because it quickly the temperature dropped.
Yeah. That we pretty much got in some all-terrain vehicles and started going up. Stopped at a tea house and actually slept there because it was starting to get dark. And we birded a little bit and they kind of took us on a hike through the tea gardens. But we went up these steep slopes. And I remember Jen and I took a journal every night on our phones. And in the journal, it's fun to go look back and it says, a light hike is what our guides called it. And we were dying. And it was a light hike. It was nothing compared to what we would do.
Yeah, looking back a couple days after we did actual hiking, we looked back on that first day and we were
laughed.
like, oh, it was a light hike.
Yeah.
Even though
What a
our
joke.
legs were burning and our legs and lungs were both burning on this.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Now, and that actually brings up a great question because y'all, seem to be in good shape from, as much as anyone can tell. And you do jobs that tend to help you be in good shape. Is there any kind of like fitness test for this or anything like that? Or do
There
they
maybe
tell
should
you
be.
like, hey, don't die? Like, what happens?
On their website, it does, or the trip description, there is something that says you should be moderately fit. Because I remember reading that and asking my husband, am I moderately fit? And he said, yeah, of course.
Yes, baby, you're very moderately fit.
But
When I think of you as moderately fit. Why am I sleeping on the couch tonight, you asked?
Yeah, he was like, you can do this. And I probably am moderately fit for an American. But Nepal,
The elevation too.
yeah.
Oh, elevation is a lot.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
So
No, I get it. I do get. That's why I'm asking though. I was just curious because I mean, I know, I played Denver and other places in Colorado a bunch of times, and we've had people that have had to call out. And I know after some of my shows, I've gotten off stage in Denver and I'm like winded. And this is a show that I'm touring and playing regularly and fine afterwards. And I get off the stage and I'm like, good show, guys.
Yeah, we had a lot of that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Okay, so that's
one of the girls that went with us actually had a personal trainer before she came, and honestly, I think we all should have.
Interesting.
Yeah. I do think we all were like equally suffering at certain points as far as like our physical activity, because it was, especially the first day was really tough because we went up the main Panda trail really quickly. And I think all of us were kind of looking at each other like, this is a lot harder than we thought.
It was kind of a joke between our group and our guides that didn't appreciate the joke. One of the guys, Mike, who's from England, he is a birder, and that's why he went on the trip for pandas, but he's mainly for birds. And our guide is an expert birder. So every time there'd be a bird on our way up to go see the pandas, they would both stop to look for the bird, look through the scope, take pictures. So at the very end, we'd be like, when we needed a break, we were like, do you guys hear a bird? Is there a bird in the area?
we would tell Mike, we were like, pretend you see a bird so we can have a break.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
But it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So then, okay. So now you're there. And describe what it's like. Because I know you said you stay in like homestays, and I know they also have that big new thing, their center there and everything. Yeah. So I know, because I've looked into this for a while, but I'm not up to date. So like, what is living in Nepal every day like? What is your day like? What is your night like? What is the food like? Can you find a Starbucks?
I wish. So the Habri Center is in another part of Nepal. I know that they just released some tours that they're actually going to go there.
Oh, cool.
So we unfortunately didn't get to see it, but we stayed in multiple different places. Our first stay was 4 nights, and that's where we saw the majority of our pandas, but it was lower elevation. And it was kind of, there was like a boys' homestay and a girls' homestay, and it just kind of worked out that way with the amount of rooms in each home. And the people, I've never met kinder, more
very welcoming.
Giving. Yeah.
Every time you would come back from a hike, they would basically run out with tea.
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to serve us tea all the time, or like little snacks like popcorn they'd make us. So very welcoming.
Yeah. I think afterwards we were all talking like, was the food what you expected? And I kind of went into it looking up what Nepali food is like. And it was so varied. The amount of vegetables that tasted amazing, like all these different vegetables I've never tried before that you saw growing in their garden behind where you stayed. It was amazing. It was delicious.
The food was better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
It was flavored really well. I'm a vegetarian, and it was very, very easy to eat vegetarian over there.
I think most of us did. And it was great.
Nice.
One of our guides made us special coffee every day, and that was great, which I needed.
Yeah, fair.
And then we had lots of tea, which was nice.
Nice. Very cool. I love Nepali food, at least what you can get in the States.
Yeah.
Like I seek it out regularly. I love momo. I love all the different types of things. But I didn't know, because I remember the first time I went to Mexico, and in Mexico, tacos aren't even what we do for tacos.
I know.
It's very different. And it's like, so I was curious, have y'all ever had Nepali food here? And if so, is it close? Is it different? You both at least know momo, so that's something.
We actually got a class how to make momo.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
We made momo with one of our homestays.
Yeah.
And it's actually really difficult. We're not that good. None of us were very good at it.
They were all laughing at us because we were bad.
And it took a while. I just want to eat these now.
I'm so hungry.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But yeah, it was delicious. And it was, what we got in Kathmandu was completely different than what we got at the homestays. Because in Kathmandu, it's very varied. Like we had a lot of Indian dishes and momo and stuff. And then once we got higher in elevation, it's becoming what they can grow. So.
And Red Panda Network does do training for the homestays.
Right.
So our guide was saying like he can even tell a difference based on like, throughout the years. I think they do try to, constantly improve, obviously with like sanitation and things like that with cooking, but also flavors and like what maybe Western palates might like, and kind of help cater to those a little bit more.
It was very good.
Nice. Was it spicy?
It could be spicy. There was always spicy things available, but they were very good at putting it on the side.
Yeah.
So if you were really wimpy like me, I would just keep it off.
Yeah.
And it was not a problem.
That makes sense. No, that's cool. Is there anyone on your trip that didn't suck so I could talk to them about how spicy the food? No, I'm kidding.
There's two of them.
I just like spicy food. But
they would be like throwing it on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what is the so you're out in the woods all day, right? In the forest and looking for red pandas and hiking. And then you're going back to these homestays and staying at home and doing the thing. What is you mentioned sanitation. What's that like? What is, I know I have to pee a lot, y'all, when I'm out in the world. So like, tell me about that side of it. Cause I'm really curious.
Yeah. I mean, Red Panda Network has worked. I was going in, I was like, I need to get my squat muscles ready. Like, this is what is about to happen. But Red Panda Network, like, they brought toilet paper with them. We could take a bucket shower if we wanted. There was a few places that we could actually take legit showers. But there was, every place we stayed, there was a Western toilet.
Yeah.
wow.
All of the homestays had Western flush toilets.
Yeah.
We had to encounter some squat toilets along the way. And obviously if you're in the fields, you're just going to go in the in the woods.
Yeah.
But all of the homestays had Western toilets, which I wasn't sure. We weren't sure if we were going to have.
Yeah, no, I was curious. That's kind of cool.
It was very nice. And they brought water bottles with us, so they had sinks, and we'd brush our teeth with water bottles and stuff like that. So it was great.
That's very cool. Are there any for both of you, but also for anyone else that was on the trip, was there any weirdness about gotta poop in the woods now? Like, was that like a hard thing as a trip, or is it like, since you're all in the same situation, you're just like, okay.
Yeah, I think like some people were like, I've never done this before. Let's do it. Like everyone, no one was complaining. Everyone was like, this is what we gotta do.
Just part of the experience.
Yeah. Very cool. So let's talk about pandas. Did we see pandas? I mean, you mentioned you saw pandas.
So many pandas.
I'm so freaking jealous. When I was seeing, I was like, wait, how many?
Yeah.
And wait, you even say the C word.
Yeah.
So I need to hear about all of the pandas that you saw.
So the first homestay that we stayed in for 4 nights, Tumke Gorke, sorry if I butchered that. We actually saw 5 pandas there. Yeah.
2, 3. Yeah, 5.
So our first day was, other than the last time we saw pandas, was the best panda spotting ever.
Because
most trips have never had 5 sighted at once.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's
because
insane.
it was the cubs,
It was
the
the
very
cubs.
first sighting that we saw.
So Mom was like there,
And they were
and we came down the hill. I mean, it's like rough. There's like bamboo. You're just like, you're hiking down the hill, and I look, I'm like, oh my God, there she is. And Mom's there. And then you look over to the left, and on the tiniest little branch that I never thought a panda could sit on, 2 cubs are just staring down at us, like
just kind of watching us, being very curious. But the cool thing about the sighting, obviously they were cubs, but they were also feeding really low down, so we got really good sightings of them.
Wow.
Versus some of the later sightings with the single red panda that we saw, it was up in a tree, and when they're way up high, they're hard to see, but they were also sleeping. So
camouflage is great.
Yeah, especially when we saw that first sighting and then the last sighting with Mom and the 2 cubs. They were just so close to us.
Yeah.
It was
amazing.
really, really cool to see them.
And they were old enough that Mom wasn't like, come back to me right now. So they were kind of curious about us, but not in a way that's like dangerous. They kind of were like, interesting. And then kind of curled up and camouflaged themselves after a few minutes, which was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. It was the best experience. I think a lot of us had tears in our eyes, and I looked over and some of us were really crying.
I mean, both of you, your faces, I can see it now.
Yeah.
Like talking about it, you're both a little verklempt.
It was amazing.
That's very cool.
Yep.
And so how many days were you there?
At that homestay, we were there for 4 nights.
Okay. And so you saw the pandas the first day, and then was it just hiking and nothing the rest of the time?
No.
And
Every day we would wake up in the morning and have our breakfast, and the forest guardians and the trackers would leave about an hour before us to look for the pandas. And they weren't trying to find the same pandas. They were always focusing on, because they know the pandas in the area. So they would focus on what group or what panda they'd want to find that day.
That's so cool. I did not know that. That's so cool.
The stories of these pandas. It's really cool.
It was very impressive.
And Red Panda Network's great about making sure pandas are not habituated to people, and making sure that you're giving pandas a break, like Jen's saying, like they're not after the same cubs. Like, of course we want to see the cubs
because we were
every day.
like, well, we know, the cubs have to be close.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot of sense not to be looking at them every single day, to focus on other pandas, because then they're not seeing us, tourists very often.
Yeah. And that part, like, we can hear the India border. Like, we can hear the road of the India border right over the ravine and see it.
Yeah.
And the pristine forest there, and Nepal's forest with habitat fragmentation everywhere. These 5 pandas that we saw were in such a close range because they don't have anywhere else to go. So Red Panda Network is trying to do bridges, trying to do forest. What am I trying to say?
Reforestation.
Replanting?
Like, no, the forest corridors.
Oh, corridors. Yeah, corridors. Yeah.
That's like their main thing. They're trying to bring those areas in Nepal with those areas in India that are very well protected. And obviously Red Panda Network's trying to work with the government to protect that land and make sure that people aren't overgrazing their cattle on it, because that's the main problem right now.
And on these trips, like, they were commenting, our main guides aren't there very often. Like, the forest guardians are there in the communities, but when the guides are there for these trips, it's an opportunity for them to also look at the forest and the population of pandas and kind of reassess what it looks like. And so our guide was kind of commenting that there was more kind of habitat loss since the last time. So then what they do is they talk to the forest guardians, and the forest guardians agreed, like, yes, there is more habitat loss. And then the forest guardians' job is to go and talk to the community that they kind of represent, because they're from that community. So it's not like an outsider from Kathmandu coming and saying,
do this,
you need to do this. And it's the local forest guardian who's kind of working with the people that live there.
Right. Wow.
That's really cool. Yeah.
That is really cool. And so I guess there were days then when you didn't see like any pandas though?
So
question mark?
We were there for those 3-ish to 4 days, and we saw the cubs and mom, and then we saw 2 solo pandas.
Okay, so you hit it like every day.
Every day.
This is like a jackpot.
Great,
That's
and
insane.
Then obviously a lot of birds
and a wild boar.
And a wild boar. That was really cool.
That's cool.
It's supposed to be there, not a dangerous one.
Not an invasive boar.
Yeah, we don't like
native.
those. And we saw so much leopard scat and leopard cat scat and all sorts of things. But on the 4th day was our longest hike, and we hiked past what we called Panda Ridge. Past that, another 2 hours up to our next homestay. And then in that homestay and farther on, we were doing more of the conservation work.
Okay.
So we weren't really seeing pandas until our final homestay, which is the original Red Panda Network homestay. We saw another mom and cubs again, and they actually ran right past my legs to reunite with mom.
No.
So it was
Close.
amazing.
No.
That's why it blew the first encounter out of the water.
It was crazy.
Because we didn't think we'd see pandas again. The forest guardian
we weren't sure.
We're not really finding anything. It was getting later at the day, and it actually started snowing. They were like, you guys aren't going to see snow. That was like my main goal. I like really wanted to see snow other than pandas. And we had a winter wonderland. It was amazing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
It was the best.
I love it.
In the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Talk about the conservation work that you did while there.
Okay. So after we saw the pandas that first homestay, our next homestay, I think that was in Tumling. No, it was past Tumling. We did some in Tumling. We saw
Dubato.
Yeah, and then in Dubato. In Tumling, we stayed at a hotel where a woman named Neela is a local woman who owns this hotel. And pretty much all the government land around that has been grazed.
And it's used, they have it for potato research. The government owns it for potato research.
As one does.
And let me tell you,
they're not using it.
Potatoes in Nepal are like the rest of the world are doing great.
Yeah.
You don't need to do much more research on it.
So she basically said, you know what? I don't care. And she fenced in an area and reforested it. And it is amazing. And at first the community thought she was trying to take land and were getting upset, but now they see the value in it and they are also doing it. And I guess she has some, like, Red Panda Network's working with her, supporting her, and now the government's kind of in on it. And
nice.
That's great. So we got to do that. Unfortunately, she wasn't there, so we didn't get to talk to her. In Dubato, that's where we did our main conservation stuff. So we got to see their greenhouses. They're planting 13 different species of trees. We got to trail cameras which we saw leopard cats and red pandas in.
Nice.
Which was really exciting because that had been a reforested area. So they weren't sure if they were going to see red pandas.
Anything, yeah.
And
it was short.
We went through, right, because one thing I was not realizing is when you replant in Nepal, because it's such a temperate climate, the trees grow and the bushes are growing fairly slowly. I mean, every year the growth is just very minor. And it's much different than if we would plant here in North Carolina where, they just blows up on some of these hot days. So anyways, the forest that we saw the trail cameras were, we weren't sure because it was pretty short, but there was wildlife there. So that was really hopeful.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we got to plant our own trees. And most of the trees there are very tiny. And I think they were like 3 years old.
Yeah.
Because that's how slow the growth is.
Wow.
But we got to mark them. We got to put our names on them. One of our group leaders was like, I'm coming back in March and I'll take a picture for you guys of your trees and stuff. We got to help some of the ladies that do the reforestation. Right now, they're not planting a lot, but they're marking where they planted. And they're trying to do those wildlife corridors into India. Just everywhere you looked, even when we weren't where their reforestation area is, there's Red Panda Network everywhere. They give out trash cans and recycling into all these different villages. We were just driving in the middle of nowhere and we see signage for Red Panda Network and about red pandas and about tigers and all sorts of stuff. So they're doing an amazing job. We got to tour some of the local homes and saw Red Panda Network. One of their initiatives were giving out stoves that were better for people because they have the ventilation where people aren't inhaling smoke in their own homes. So they've given out 500 stoves or more.
Including in our homestay.
Yeah.
So we got to see it at work.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's really cool. I remember the stove thing was like a couple of years ago, and it was when I was starting to get into conservation and learning about Red Panda Network and everything. And I remember, and I've talked about this on the pod before, I was like, I want to support like red pandas, not like stoves. This is dumb. And then as I learned about it and I learned that it takes less wood and that there's less chance of forest fires and all these other things, I was like, this is brilliant. And that's just not how I had thought of conservation back then. And it really helped shape my understanding of what we need to do for the communities around the animals, which I'm eternally grateful to Red Panda Network for being so dang good at.
I was going to say, I think that's the biggest thing that Red Panda Network does is involves the communities around Red Panda Network, around Red Panda habitat.
Right.
Because without the community support, red pandas, planting some trees are not going to be enough. It really does need to be community. And we saw that over and over and over again where the community was given money either by tourism like us staying at their homes or being paid from Red Panda Network to do tracking or restoration planting. Like the women that we saw don't have a ton of job opportunities there. So to be paid a wage to do this work is really important.
We went to a women's weaving area in Elam City and got to see these women making those Red Panda Network
the rugs.
Which is amazing.
They are so cool.
So they're teaching women these valuable skills. So it was really... I'm so impressed with the Red Panda Network.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that either of you would like to say about the trip?
Do it. Go on a trip with Red Panda Network.
Yeah. Be prepared and go.
And do some hiking before you go.
Yeah. Get on the Stairmaster and then go. It's amazing.
Awesome.
It's time now, don't you know? We've come to the end of the show, but there's one tale left to go. You're gonna laugh and say, oh no. It's time for the Rossifari poop story.
All right.
So as the newbie to the podcast,
I get the honors of telling. Okay. So I'm actually going to talk about the poop that we saw in Nepal because when we were walking on the trails, we oftentimes found leopard cat or leopard scat a lot. And so we were always really excited about it. And our guide was saying, only on the zookeeper groups are they excited about it. And when I look back on my pictures of Nepal, there is a lot of pictures of leopard poop. And there's also pictures just of our group looking at, like, it's us all looking at the leopard poop. And it never got old. We looked at it so many times in those 2 weeks.
That is absolutely amazing. Awesome. I want to thank you both for taking the time to share about this trip. But before we wrap up, we are at the Greensboro Science Center. And again, I will get punched in the face by many of fans if I don't ask about how our panda friends here are doing. So tell me.
They're doing great. Right now, our parents, Ty and Usha, are not recommended to breed this year, so we're keeping them separate. So if you come and visit, you might notice one's in one yard and one's not, and I rotate them daily. And then our 3 cubs are doing fantastic. They're all still getting along really well. So curious, so into everything, so much fun to work with. If you come, you'll see Miso always on top of one of her siblings. She's so attached, and them just like giving it to her, and she holds her own. So I'm very impressed with her, even though she's half their size.
She's become like a complete viral sensation now, right?
She should be.
I got yelled at because my first Red Panda Monday on Instagram was not Miso. I literally got multiple people reached out to me and were like, I assumed you would start the year with Miso. And I was like, calm down, y'all. Good Lord. Even I love Miso, and even I'm like, there are other pandas.
Miso is the number one.
It is a thing. It is a thing.
Yeah,
cool.
But they're all doing so well, and every day is a joy to work with them. So
awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing those cute little faces in a minute here. So everyone shut up so I can go see some pandas. I mean, thank you so much for doing this. It's been a pleasure. And goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, that was so much fun. I always love having Kelly on the podcast. And of course, having Jen on was amazing as well. And I'm hopeful that someday we can sit down and have just a normal interview with Jen, because that was just a lot of fun. But now I'm wondering, I'm not the one listening, that's you, but is it crossing your mind right now how fun it would be to go on a Red Panda eco trip through Red Panda Network? Well, if so, you can check out their socials at Red Panda Network, or go to redpandanetwork.org and you can sign up for eco trips, because this was not just a thing that happened once and will never happen again. So you can go have your own amazing experience. There's no guarantee that you're going to see red pandas. However, the forest guardians are incredible at what they do. And as you heard, they really get to not just like know how to track red pandas, but they get to know the red pandas in their area. That might have been the part of this that blew me away the most. Just the realization that just like how we get to know the red pandas that live in the different zoos and everything, these forest guardians get to know their red pandas that they are guarding in the forest, hence the name. So I just think that's amazing. So yeah, if this is something that you are interested in doing, get fit and then head on over to Red Panda Network and sign up. And hopefully soon I'll be the one doing that as well. So let me just end this quick by saying thank you to my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Schenk, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, and Jenny Owens. To remind y'all that you can support the podcast for as little as $3 a month by going to patreon.com/Rossifari. I love all of my patrons, regardless of level. And hey, if you're listening and you're not a patron, guess what? I love you too. I am so grateful for all of this community. Yeah, so that's really all I have to say about that, other than, of course, to say that the word credits backwards is Steiderk. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari, or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.